I'm now going to demonstrate the next exercise in our exercise series. This is the Carriere motion appliance. We're going to be looking at his class 2 appliance, but the class 3 is just very similar. The Carriere appliance used to be called the Carriere distalizer, but they were unable to market it to orthodontists because orthodontists don't like the term distalization. In fact, some of them don't believe in distalization. So most of their products have deleted the distalizer, even though we can see that it's still showing up on some of the old bags of elastics. Let's go over the instruments we're going to need for this, and it isn't very many. We're just going to need a band pusher scaler. This is a bracket placement instrument that Larry White designed, and it's kind of like a deluxe bracket holder. Any bracket holder will do, or a cotton plier. And then we have a flat tip math dowel. Also have super glue to take the place of composite resin, and an accelerator to get the super glue to set quicker. Then we have the Carriere appliance, and we'll go over that in just a second. And this is set up specifically for this demonstration. This is our typodont, clear typodont, with no brackets, no bands on the upper arch, and fully bracketed on the lower. And finally, on our armamentarium, we've got the Carriere distalizer elastics that are specific for his appliance. It's Force 1, which is a 1/4 inch 6-ounce elastic, and then Force 2, which is a 3/16 8-ounce elastic. So to demonstrate this appliance, first thing we have to do is just take a look at this package, which is it's a pretty involved packaging actually. On one end they actually have an instruction sheet in here, and there's a great deal of information about the Carriere, and they're also talking about some of the other appliances and bracket systems that he's fond of. And inside there's a ruler, and the ruler really is all we need. It's right and left. We're only going to do one side. We're just going to do a left one, and that's the way you can use the Carriere appliance. You can use it on if you need distalization on both sides, you can distalize on both sides. If you only need one side, you can do this unilaterally. So we're going to just pretend that in this case that we only have a class 2 molar on the left side. So we would take the ruler and go to our patient, go to their left side, and you want to tighten up the shot, because if you look at this ruler, it says first molar midline. Okay, so that's all you have to do is line that ruler up on the midline, which is going to be right down that buccal groove, and then see where it lays over what comes closest to laying over the canine midline, and it looks like 25 wins. Now, it's important to know that the Carriere only comes in 3 sizes. There's 25, there's 23, 25, and 27. So but there's 3 for the left and 3 for the right. Now I think they may have added some additional sizes, but traditionally there were just 23, 25, 27. So in this case we measured, we got a 25, and that's what we've been supplied. To get to the appliance, got to pop the other end of this, and then this tube will come out. And let's take a look at this. It's very, very simple in its design. It has 2 pads that bond just like any bondable bracket. This one is for the molar, and this is for the canine. So if you look really close, you can even see a little indentation right there where that's supposed to sit right on the midline in the that groove of the between the two buccal cusps of the molar, and then this end bonds to the facial of the canine. Now, what makes this thing unique is the this molar part is flexible. See how that is? It's actually like a ball and socket. Let me see if I can get it in a better position for you. I don't know if that's any better or not. Let me see if I can choke up here. It's really small, so it's hard for you guys to see, but that's better. See how that swivels? It's just like a ball and socket. And because of that, it allows the appliance to distalize, and it creates less rotational moments on the other teeth. And when we place this on this molar and canine, it is going to, with the elastic system, it's going to take that entire segment, canine to molar, and all of it's going to move back in one in force. The entire group are going to move back. So it's going to go from class 2 to class 1, and that's very different than what we've been used to, because we're used to an MDA going through a wire series and then getting to an MDA and then taking 2 molars back and then take 1 tooth back at a time. And we all know the problems we have with that. And that is what is very unique about the Carriere motion appliance. So let's pretend that we have pumice the canine, pumice the molar, and we're ready to place this appliance. So we're going to apply super glue instead of composite resin. A little dab will do ya. If I can do this without getting it on me, it'll be a miracle. Just always happens that way. So we're just going to place this, and I'm going to have to leave it flat in order to not lose the appliance, but I'm going to try to let you see what I'm doing. So all I'm trying to do is get this thing lined up on the cuspid and the molar, and then we're going to set up the super glue. But that's the way, basically the way the appliance is going to rest. So I'm going to cut away and put some Cyberblast, some of that accelerator on there, and then we'll come back. Alright, so I've got it glued, and I put the accelerator on so that the super glue will set up quickly. But that is all there is to placing this appliance. You just measure molar to canine and then place it. And of course, if we had a problem on the right side, we would have done the same thing over here. The only other thing we need to do now is place our elastic. But let's talk a little bit about the Anchorage, because this is a distalization system. That means that we have to use something to drive it, and what we're going to use is a class 2 rubber band, and that means we got to use the lower arch. In order to protect the lower arch from having a lot of flaring of these lower anterior teeth, you have to have absolutely the strongest anchorage you can. And yet, normally it's not going to be possible for us to do a wire series and have a bunch of the whole thing strapped up on the lower and have first and second molars and a frellaw in. If you could do that, it would be fine. And there might be some adult scenarios where that might be possible, or late teens. It would require a full set of teeth, of permanent teeth. And I'm more inclined to see this used early, you know, in an earlier setting, just after we get the canines in, maybe 12 or 13. So what they've been recommending lately is, instead of having this set up down here, going to an Essex type retainer with bonded hooks, or cutting a hook into the Essex retainer and using that. The patient would just simply snap the Essex on their lower teeth and then put the rubber bands in. Either way, having it set up here with good anchorage, a furlaw on the inside, a good wire, and fully bracketed and banded on the outside, as much anchorage in the lower as you can. Now, as far as placing the rubber band, this is a force 1. There's also different ways of using these rubber bands. Some doctors want to use force 1, which is a 6-ounce 1/4 inch elastic, for about a month, 4 to 6 weeks, and then go to the force 2, which is a 3/16 8-ounce, and have them wear this for several months. It could be up to 9 months or more of distalization, and they will wear the elastic continuously until you're done with the appliance. So again, and you have to use the Carriere elastics, which are proprietary. So you'll hook on a molar hook just like you would any class 2 elastic, lower molar hook, the 6, and come up and catch that little hook on the canine. And that is all there is to it. I will just add that the neatest thing about this appliance, for those of us who have been traditionally doing MDA, is that this is will over distalize. We'll drive this not just from class 2 to class 1, but we'll try to drive it back even further. But in the MDA, we've got to go through the process. Once we get our overcorrection, we've got to bring all these other teeth back by the second bite, first bite, and canine all have to go back, and then the anteriors. And a lot of times we lose that distalization of the molar in the process. When you use the Carriere, it takes all those teeth back as a group. And so the only thing we have to worry about is getting the anteriors back. The other really neat thing about the appliance is that, as you know, patients don't always wear their rubber bands. And when we get to an MDA, we expect them to wear them 24/7, and we expect these guys with the Carriere to wear them 24/7, and to only have them off to eat or brush their teeth. The problem is with the MDA, if they don't wear the elastics, the anterior teeth will flare, and we've all had that happen. With the Carriere, if they don't wear the rubber bands, what happens? Nothing. It just sits there. So there are no significant consequences, other than it just doesn't work if the patient doesn't wear the rubber bands. But if they do wear them, often you're able to distalize the entire quadrant all the way to the canine in group. And that concludes the exercise on the Carriere motion appliance.